So this is obviously something that the people of Florida voted on, right?
So what is it once again?
Okay, so it's to impose a 1% tax, which is gonna finance, it says finance programs for the homeless.
Yeah, they did it. They already did it.
And,
It's done.
right, it's done,
Yeah.
but my point is that it was voted on, because when I first started, or read about this, I was actually a little bit like, wait a minute, what if I don't want my tax dollars going towards whatever this
Well, then you would
homeless
vote.
program- Exactly,
And then-
well, that's what I was thinking.
So
I
just
was
to be
like,
clear,
all right.
this is a tax that a county in the
They-
state of Florida,
County.
Dade
Right.
County in
Miami.
Florida, where all businesses pay into 1%.
Wait, it's all restaurants.
Restaurants.
Oh, restaurants are
Yeah.
getting
Restaurants
taxed.
only.
High-end restaurants.
I kind of like
They're
that.
getting taxed,
Yeah.
and the money that
And they're not paying, the customers get
Right,
taxed.
the
customer-
customers
the
getting
When you go in
taxed.
for your
And-
lobster tail, you're gonna pay 1% on your $50 lobster.
towards what?
It says it's for a
Homeless
homeless
in
program. So
Dade
the problem
County,
is that we don't know
Miami.
necessarily, the thing that always bugs me about this stuff is you don't know exactly how those programs are being run. Like, are the directors pocketing a lot of this money, or is it actually going to feed and clothe the homeless and provide them a place
Is
to
there,
sleep?
do they have an out of control homeless population down there? I don't
Oh,
know.
Miami's
I bet
homeless
they do.
is some
Yeah.
of one of the worst in the nation.
But I think it would be a great place to be
And-
homeless.
and-
because
and-
Exactly.
And there's a
That's why
little,
there's so
little
many homeless in
backstory to this
Hawaii.
too. Miami
Sleep under
did
the
this
banyan tree.
because Miami was actually fingered by the federal government saying, what is wrong down there? You guys have the biggest homeless mess in the country. So that made Miami went, okay, here's a good idea.
Here's how we'll fix
But I think
it.
it goes to like what
And
she was
that's all
saying.
right, you know. It took pressure, some finger pointing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the finger pointing and the pressure though is skewed because the weather in Miami, the land that's
Right.
in Miami.
It's more
I think
conducive
it
than Nebraska.
It attracts people. I mean, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
Right.
you're not going to have that in Nebraska, like you just said.
Yeah.
You're going
Right.
to have people that are there, but they're like the real homeless. And I'm sure that there's real homeless there as well. But in Miami, you're going to have like 20-year-olds.
So
It's just, exactly.
Yeah,
It's
they're
just
like,
easier
I'm
to
not paying for
have.
rent. I can camp out.
So what if they created a program where they not even 1%, a 0.5% went towards some kind of veterans
Yeah.
initiative?
that's-
That should be in every state.
See, what Miami's doing, okay, it might work. You know, if it's got anything's going to have corruption, no matter where you go, you know that. But if they're getting some money into the homeless situation, good. But why don't we, like Mike's saying, why don't we encourage other counties and cities to do a restaurant tax or whatever it is that's going directly and exclusively to homeless veterans?
There you go.
Not the 20-year-olds who just
I agree.
ran out of daddy's
Absolutely.
money because spring break's over in Miami and I can't
Or
get
somebody
home,
who got
you
hit
know.
by sequestration.
Well, you know what they say, right?
Yeah.
Write your congressman
Write your congress.
and your representatives.
There you go.
All right. Well, we got a show to start. I hope you guys ready to start the show?
We are ready.
Let's do this.
Welcome to Veterans Nation. My name is Mike Dowling, U.S. Marine, Iraqi OIF veteran, and we got Mr. Rydell Danzy, Kelly Smith, Rick Seaman, and Ryan, our audio engineer out there in the back. How are you, Ryan?
Good, thanks.
All right.
All right, should we dedicate the show?
Let's dedicate.
Let's
One of my
dedicate. We
favorite
shall.
things.
All right, today's segment is dedicated to the Army 2nd Infantry Division.
Yeah.
Hoorah.
You were Army, right, Rydell?
Yes, yes, I am.
Yeah.
First cab.
Second Cav, 217 and third ID actually.
Did you ever
Oh, your
work?
third ID.
I was third ID,
Oh, okay.
217 Air Cav,
Got it.
and 85th Medevac, which
All right.
was after I got hurt. But.
That's like 10 units all in one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
Second
bouncing
division. Second division. Big,
Oh, I like
big,
that.
big in Korea, the Korean Peninsula. Man, they've been holding that thing down since the end of the Korean War. All right, second
Right.
division. Yes.
Thank you,
Second
Second Division. Rick, just wanted to let you know that the poll is closed.
Oh, it is.
Finally.
I know.
Oh, the
Poll is
video
closed.
game poll.
Video game
No.
poll is closed.
Oh, yeah, the video game poll. Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I tried to keep it going, but they wouldn't let me. So,
So what are the results?
All right. Well, of course, we've got actually a lot of results. A lot of people, thank you so much for voting. And we actually got a lot of comments from voters as well. One of the questions was, as a veteran, do you approve of combat video games for kids? We got almost 600 votes with a mix of 447 veterans and 132 non-veterans. And it looks like the votes were Not quite as good as the election, but pretty close. We had 54% voted yes, and 46 said no, that veterans do not approve of combat video games for kids.
Okay.
So,
And
So the majority did approve.
yeah.
54% approved, yeah.
But 46 didn't approve. We did get a ton of comments, and I'll just go ahead and read them to
Oh,
you
you
guys,
got some
since
there?
not everybody has them all.
Oh, I
Okay,
see.
so
They've
here's
been
from
highlighted, yeah.
here's
Yeah.
from some people that are the no voters, people that did not think it's appropriate. One of them says, "Let kids be kids; they'll learn about violence soon enough." Another said, "These games make killing fun. That makes no sense to me." And another said, "Wouldn't games about science or health be more productive?"
I like that last answer, yeah. But
Yeah.
these
We
are the
have,
no
we,
vote. These are the no
but
vote.
we
that's
do
not gonna
have
sell.
games. We do have games that are about
do.
science and
In
health.
science and health.
And
I think
reading
what
and
that
math.
person's probably
What are the
saying
names of them? You can't
Yeah.
name one.
Yeah, how many
That's
of them?
the point.
How many of them are on NFL or baseball commercials? You know,
Yeah.
as games advertised. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's
What
true.
about? Did we get any comments from yes votes?
Okay, so for the people that think it's fine, one of them says, "Come on now, kids have been playing war games, cowboys and Indians, and getting in scraps with each other since we had soldiers. Now it's done electronically. What's the big deal?"
Like that.
Okay.
I feel
That's a
like we
yes
actually
vote.
touched on this when we first talked about
We
putting
did,
the poll,
we did.
which I kind of agree with. Like, it's kind of part of human nature to go to war.
Yeah.
We're not a peaceful community.
We are violent.
I was ready to go
Well,
to war with you this
We
morning.
glorify.
I mean, like that person says, you know, kids have been emulating soldiers
Right.
since we ever had soldiers.
And the other
We've had
thing is
soldiers
like,
since
it's not,
medieval times.
it's
you know?
not necessarily in a bad manner. Like, think about G.I. Joe, they're the heroes.
Yeah.
You know, when you'd play G.I. Joe as little kids. I think I talked about my sisters playing Navy SEAL. You know, we didn't have the video games, but if we'd had them,
I think that
It's
that's
just a-
more of the issue is that, like you just said, you didn't have the game, so you had to actually go out and
That
do
we'd
it.
go out and
so
play
it
it
stimulated your mind and imagination as opposed to just sitting there and doing it.
Right, you're
like
still
this
gonna
all
find a
day.
way to,
Yeah.
you know,
yeah,
to entertain yourself
I
with
totally
it.
agree with that. But I do remember when I was a kid, you know, in the video games. Remember when everybody was like, "Oh, we really should be promoting video games because it's better hand-eye coordination." I remember actually trying to use that against my parents to make them buy
Yeah, sure.
Atari or whatever it was
Yeah,
at the time. And my parents were like, "Yeah, right." And now it's actually true. I mean, look at all the drones
Yeah,
out there. I
yeah.
mean, this is actually like
Right.
Ender's Game. I mean, it's real. It's actually happened.
Yeah. But, and,
Okay, I'll get back to
well,
what I'm
just
supposed to be
one
talking
more thing,
about.
though. Why can't kids? I mean, I think kids should look up to military heroes, just like they do National Football League, you know, Major League Baseball, boxing, you name it, basketball. They look up to those sports heroes. Why can't they look up to and emulate?
Well, I
No,
think
they
it's,
can.
I think it's
They-
they can. It's just
And
that
they
the way
can.
all the video games are portrayed is very violently versus a basketball game.
Yeah.
Nobody's getting killed. Okay, so we have another comment from a yes voter. It says these games allow kids to pretend to be warriors. I don't see that as a bad thing, which is essentially what we were just discussing.
Yeah.
Another one, and this one I like. Kids will play war as long as we have real wars. You want the games to go away? Then simply make the real wars go away. And good luck. I second that commenter.
Okay,
Totally agree with you.
okay.
I don't know, you know, if they'll play for as long as there's wars. I think they're going to play regardless, you know? I mean, growing up when there wasn't a war going on when I was playing video games,
That's a good point. And like they have those medieval times
Yeah.
well, I was playing
video games.
all kinds of
That's
video
gone.
games younger, but just like, you know, and also the G.I. Joes, and it's not just video games. You can argue the whole entertainment industry, the cartoons and
Oh, yeah.
everything that goes along with it. So I think this argument shouldn't just be limited just to video games because it's part of the whole overall entertainment industry.
Sure. Sure.
Anyways,
You got any more?
All right. Well, this one was highlighted in a different color, so let's see what they said. If we think we need to teach kids not to see war and killing as entertainment, then we should make these games even more realistic. When an electronic screen character is blown up, his stomach and intestines should spill to the ground on display, and the device should emit the smell of death such as the smell of blood and the lower digestive tract. Make it realistically repulsive like it really is, rather than cute and superficial. I'm a former combat medic.
Oh,
Well, I appreciate that comment, and
I see his point.
yeah, I certainly see the point.
It almost sounds like he should have been a no vote. But
But I mean, like I said, I see his point, and I don't know if I'm going to go as far as creating that smell. I don't even know how you can create that smell.
It's not commercially possible.
Realistic, but
I understand his point, though.
Yeah,
Is he's
well-
saying that we're basically, like, the entertainment industry is glorifying somebody's guts being spilled out of them, and yet, you know, I mean, I've seen it in movies. I just don't even get moved anymore by a lot of that stuff.
But-
It's like, oh, it's CG.
again, I
or
still
whatever.
I take the stance of just better education and interaction with the parents or some kind of authority figure with that child, not just let that child see that and that's it, and have him have his own interpretation of it, but have someone in there to let him know what it means and give him a proper understanding of it. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
So on that note, let's take a realistic break, shall we? So we'll be back.
Throughout the history of this great nation, men and women of courage and valor have sacrificed to provide the security of those they love. George Washington understood the importance of recognizing that courage, and the Purple Heart was born, a symbol of sacrifice and heroism, and a tribute to those who have given their all for freedom. For 50 years, the Military Order of the Purple Heart and the Purple Heart Service Foundation have channeled that same heroism and courage into helping all veterans and their families. With a national service program to assist veterans with VA claims assistance, providing grants for disabled veterans, leading the way in research and treatment initiatives for traumatic brain injuries and post-traumatic stress, along with many other forms of assistance to help our men and women in uniform transition to civilian life. The Purple Heart Service Foundation has been there. Tomorrow's challenges are great. The obstacles are many, the threats real. The men and women who serve today will need our support tomorrow, and we will be there for the next 50 years and beyond. Please join us in helping those who protect our freedom. The next generation of heroes would like to thank you in advance.
Okay, we are back, and we're going to be talking with a Mr. Alan Cates, who was a combat helicopter pilot with the U.S. Marines in Vietnam. Following his career with the Marines, Alan moved on and went to fly for Air America while they were performing in Southeast Asia
Very cool.
during that Vietnam War. And Air America, as many of us know, flew secret missions in Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam. And there's about 400 of these brave pilots still around. And they have an Air America Association. What this association is trying to do currently is to get full veterans status for their service during the war in Southeast Asia. Now, I'd like to note here that almost all personnel who were with Air America were regular military before they went on with Air America, and which is a privately owned, government-controlled combat fighting team. Here's an interesting thing. Our merchant Marines, who were civilians, finally, after decades after World War II, they finally were granted veterans status from their merchant Marine days in World War II. So there was a precedent. Brian, we got him?
Yep.
You on? Mr. Cates, are you there, sir?
Yes, sir, I am, Rick, and I really appreciate you having me on your show. Thank you very much.
Alan, having heard my intro and our intro discussion here, can you add for all of our veteran viewers out there, just tell us the story. Let's hear it.
Well, thank you very much. I'd like to emphasize the fact that veteran status has been working on that for several years for the Air America employees, and it's not just the pilots. It also is the other members of the flight crew, flight mechanics, and air freight specialists, we commonly call kickers. Also the maintenance personnel and the operations personnel and flight information personnel, which you have to have in order to have an operation be successful. Air America was a government-owned company that was held secret because they wanted to be able to do overt acts covertly, where they could not do this in certain areas with the active military because of public pressure and treaty restraints with the Geneva Accords and et cetera. And so Air America was a viable company that could be used to do this because it made them look like they were a civilian organization enterprise that was there for hire, when in fact they really actually were owned by the U.S. government. But unfortunately, this secrecy prevented the U.S. government from giving the normal benefits that you give to government personnel. And so Air America actually, after several years of conducting this type of business, which was actually exact military plan, military aircraft, they end up getting just saying, hey, goodbye, and turn you loose. And some of the people who could have used some of the long-term benefits obtained from disability, and those were wounded in action, recognition for those people who were killed in action. And for the most part, though, it's just it was just a kind of a feel-good situation to say that we were something more than what the movie spoofs have characterized us as. And I think that everybody would feel good about it. I certainly would. I'd like to be able to tell my children's children that we were something more than what the Mel Gibson, Morton Downey type of operation that was that the movie and some of the people have said about us.
Hey, Mr. Kitts, Mike Dowling here. Has Air America made any official approaches to Congress at any point in regards to this?
Well, everybody has, of course. You can't. You have to go through your congressman and that takes care of the constituents of your state. And there's an Air America employee in practically every state of the union. And so we have, in fact, gone to Congress. But Congress is limited in what they can do. Now, Congress did pass a law in 1995 that allowed certain civilian organizations that had worked with the military to obtain veteran status, and that's how the Merchant Marines got it, and a couple of the other organizations. And that is the law that we're using to get veteran status. They assigned this to the Secretary of the Air Force, who put up a board called Civilian Military Service Review Board. And that board does not really listen to Congress. I mean, they will take the application. They have strict guidelines that they go by, and they want you to meet those guidelines. The past precedent is not one of the things that they pay attention to, one that I don't agree with, by the way. But that's we have to show that we actually were under the jurisdiction of the U.S. military while we were operating, and that was difficult because much of this work was secret. But I think that we've satisfactorily done that, especially with a certain documentation that has come out just recently and allowed us to make a reconsideration after originally being turned down. I think we got a good chance. I just got a telephone call from General Richard Secord, who was very much involved with Air America, and he said that he certainly is going to issue an affidavit in this regard and can show that he was the one who ordered Air America to do some of the operations that we were involved with in Laos. So that's a good sign, and I think other military people have come forward and are going to do this as well.
Alan, Rick here again. So it sounds like you guys have a decent shot at getting recognized. What I'd like to do here at Veterans Network is put this question up on our Veterans Voting Poll as a new question beginning right now. And these poll results are always submitted to the U.S. House Committee on Veterans Affairs. And then I can also submit the results to the board that you mentioned so we can hit it on both sides. Does that sound good to you?
Yes, it does. And, it'll be interesting to see how it comes out. So it was very surprising to me when I wrote a book about this. Actually, I really was, the idea was to publish the research that I did about Air America and even learned some things myself while I was doing it. And I ended up, was told that I need to personalize it in order to get this thing to fly, and that was accomplished. But it was interesting to me to see the military people who knew about Air America, who were personally involved with them, how much they applauded our efforts. Now, the ones that did not come in contact with us, and there were many, they would see us flying around, didn't have no idea who we were or what we were doing, they're probably going to be ambivalent, and I can understand that because secrecy means secrets, and if it's secret, then they're not going to tell everybody about who we really were. And so a lot of people thought we were just mercenaries, and then the government, propagated that, and they felt like that, they wanted to keep that information that way. And it hurt our effort because the government is not inclined to change their way of thinking in that regard. So, sure, the people, we've had the people that we rescued that later became admirals, some of them, and the people who were actually involved with our operations, who knew where we were, they are completely on our side. I've never heard anybody that wasn't. The ones that didn't know anything about us, they're probably, like I said, they're going to be ambivalent,
Well, hey, tell all your buddies and comrades that we appreciate and salute their gallant service in that war, and that we're with you guys all the way.
Well, you know how it is. If the government says it, then it's true, and if they don't say it, it's not true. Even though it may, someone else may say it, the government itself has to actually say it. So
Right.
You know how that goes.
I know. Well, listen, Alan, thank you for your time, and good luck.
I really appreciate the effort, and it's people like you that'll help us get what we need to have done. And I think everybody appreciates that, and I want to thank you very much for the opportunity for us to present ourselves.
All right, Air America.
All right, well, that was
Hoorah.
perfect timing because, as they say, one door closes, another opens. At Veterans Nation, one poll closes and another opens. All right, well, I think that's it for today. Thank you for tuning in and listening to this important phone call about the folks at Air America, and please respond to our polls.
See you next time.